Hi everybody, I'm Sam and this is my sister's diary. Hello everybody, welcome back to my sister's diary podcast. You know, I'm trying to figure out if I should say my sister's diary or my sister's diary podcast. Probably my sister's diary, that sounds better. So let me do that again. Hello everybody, welcome back to my sister's diary. Yeah, that sounds better. Okay. Let's stick with that from now on, okay? Okay, sounds good. Welcome to this amazing Tuesday. If you're listening to this on Tuesday, that's the day it drops. So I don't know how many of you guys listen on other days, but if you're listening on Tuesday, I hope you're having a great Tuesday. And it is the week after Valentine's Day. I hope everybody had a great Valentine's Day. You felt loved by your friends, your family, your husband, your spouse, whoever, your wife, or even just yourself. You know, it's okay to just love yourself too. So I hope everyone had a good time. Ours was a little interesting because it was snowing really hard where we are. And I was like, that is not going to hold me back from going out to eat. I didn't care. I was like, I'm doing it anyway. So I drove my butt down with my 3 kids to like a steakhouse, I think it is. But they have like hamburgers and pizza and stuff like that. So drove down there. It went fine. Like everything was good. My son is obsessed with hamburgers. So he was so excited. He's like, this tastes just like an In-N-Out burger. And I was like, shh, because it's like kind of a nicer place. So I was like, please don't say that so loud. But he loved it. Our baby does so good at restaurants and honestly anywhere. He's just such a good, chill baby. And except for our 4-year-old, she's a little wild. Like we cannot tame her when we're out to eat. And I don't want to always just like give her a phone or give her an iPad or whatever. So that's kind of tricky. Also, she doesn't eat very much. Like she has, I mean, there's contributing factors, but she just really doesn't eat very much. And so it's hard to keep her entertained with food because she doesn't eat. You know, she'll eat like 3 French fries and call it a day. So anyway, that's what we did. It was really fun. And then I can't remember actually, it might have been the same day. I don't think so. I think it was the day after. Oh yeah. So we went out to eat the day before Valentine's Day. And then on Valentine's Day, we made chocolate covered strawberries and pretzels. And I didn't know how hard it was to get the strawberries covered in chocolate. Like the chocolate just kept falling off. I think what we did wrong was we didn't let the strawberry dry. And like I washed them and then I didn't let them dry all the way. So the chocolate just kind of like melted off. Not melted off, but like slid off. Yeah, so that was interesting. I definitely learned some things. And then I made heart pancakes, you know, and we watched, what did we watch? I don't think we watched anything that night, but we did start watching Beast Games. If you guys haven't heard of that, I'm sure you have heard of it. Just maybe not everyone's heard of it, but it's this guy. I don't know how he really got famous, to be honest. I think he does YouTube, but he's loaded out of his mind. Like, I don't know that he's a billionaire, but he has a lot of money and he gives away so much money on this show. Like we were only on like episode, I don't know what episode we're on, but he's already given away like $3 million and it's not even that. The grand prize for this show is $5 million. Like sign me up. Okay. But actually, no, as we're watching it, I don't think I could handle it. It's like really psychological. Is that the right word? Yeah, like a mental game. And I would crack for sure. I would crack and have a mental breakdown and it would be embarrassing. They would show it because they have to, because they would make good TV and it would be embarrassing for me. So no, that kind of show and like Survivor, I could never, ever do. Or we also started watching Traitors. Sorry, I'm rambling, but these are things I want to talk to you guys about, okay? We also started watching Traitors. This is the most recent season. We didn't go back and like watch the other seasons. But that game, so if you haven't seen it, the premise of the game is basically like a game of werewolf, but like in real life. But obviously you don't actually kill people. But there's like traitors and they kill off people. And then you have to guess who the traitor is and vote them out. And anyway, so basically just like werewolf, but like on TV. And everyone would think I'm a traitor, every single person, because I'd be sweating. My armpits would be like drenched in sweat. My forehead would be dripping all the time. Because I'm like, people think I'm lying. Even if I wasn't a traitor, even if I was a faithful, people would think I'm a traitor for sure. I would get eliminated first round. But I also don't understand. So sorry if you guys don't watch this, but a lot of people, when they're trying to like suss out the traitor, their reasoning for why they think someone's a traitor is they've been acting really suspicious. And I'm like, that's not a freaking reason. Like, everybody's acting suspicious because nobody wants you to think they're a traitor. So everybody's acting suspicious. So I just need these players to like step up and actually have a better reason, because it's getting boring just hearing them be like, this person I think is the traitor because they're acting really suspicious. I'm like, please give me another reason, please. Okay, the topic for today, sorry, I should have introduced this at the beginning, but the topic for today is advice. And you guys came out swinging. These advice questions really, really made me think really, really hard. And I hope I did a good job. But you should know, I'm not a professional advice giver, okay? I am just one single person in the world with only my life that I've lived. So I can only go off of my own stuff. I'm recording while my kids are here, so my daughter's in here now. But anyway, let's get started on that. I'm recording this separately, so okay, all that chaos. I'm going to cut to it now. When I asked for advice questions, I was expecting kind of like some, easy peasy little, oh, this is what you should do. No, you guys came out with some hard hitters. I had to think pretty hard about some of these and decide how I really wanted to answer them. So hopefully I did a decent job. I took some notes, so hopefully that'll help me. All right, this first one was really long and I would totally read it. I read it, obviously. But I think it's a little bit too long to read on here, so I'm just going to summarize it and hopefully I do a good job. So there's this girl, she's the one who wrote it in, but let's call her Stacy. And she has a best friend, let's call her Lexi. And they both have a mutual friend, who she called Matthew, who they both like. So Stacy and Lexi like Matthew. Stacy and Lexi are best friends. So currently Lexi and Matthew are kind of an item, but Stacy doesn't think Lexi treats Matthew the way he deserves to be treated. And Matthew has expressed interest in Stacy in the past, even telling her brother that he would ask her out. So Stacy, the writer of the story, doesn't really know what to do because she really likes Matthew and doesn't want to see him get hurt by her friend. So what should she do? Should she ask him out, or what should she do? So this one I think is tricky because your feelings for Matthew are 100% valid. Like, you shouldn't feel bad for liking him because you truly can't help who you like. I really believe that. But unless you're willing to potentially lose him and Lexi, I wouldn't ask him out until you know things are for sure over between him and Lexi. Because otherwise things are going to get messy. Lexi's going to feel like you betrayed her, stabbed her in the back, and Matthew's probably going to feel awkward and weird and kind of pull away. So honestly, I know it's hard to hear because like you really like him, but I think you're going to have to take a step back from this one and let things play out the way they're going to play out. And try not to get super involved in it and just be there for both of your friends. Like, be there for Lexi, be there for Matthew. The other thing I think you could do, and might be a good idea, is to talk to Lexi and have like a really honest conversation with her and let her know, like, obviously I'm not going to do anything before I talk to you about this, but I really, really like Matthew and you don't seem super interested in him. So if you're not really interested in him, would it be okay if I ask him out because I really, really like him, kind of thing? Which I know it's easier to say that than to actually have that conversation, because Lexi might be mad. And she might be mad and then she'll think about it and she'll be like, you know what, you're right. So I don't know. Do what you will with that. But those are my thoughts. Okay. Next one says, I think my sister is unhappy in her marriage but is scared to leave. I want to talk to her about it but don't want to ruin our relationship. Would you leave it alone or try and talk to her? I'll just kind of tell you what I would do in this situation. I would 100% talk to my sister. I have a close relationship with both my sisters, and so it would be not out of the blue for me to talk to her about that. So kind of take that into consideration. But I think if you're concerned about it, like if you're worried about her happiness, then I think it's definitely worth having a conversation about. But I think you should be careful about how you approach the topic. Like, try not to go in, swing in and be like, your husband's a piece of crap and anything like that, because she's probably going to be on the defensive because she's married to him. Obviously, she loves him. And, well, I mean, I can't say obviously, but not supposedly. Presumably, she loves him. And so going in with like accusing her husband of being the reason she's unhappy or things that he specifically does, I think that's going to put her on the defense, and she's not going to be willing to talk to you about it, even if she is unhappy. So I think kind of gearing the conversation towards her and being like, you don't seem happy. You can mention in her marriage, but focusing on her feelings, like, you don't seem happy and you deserve to be happy, and I want you to be happy. And like, maybe ask her, like, is there anything going on between you and him that you maybe want to talk to me about? Or, I mean, you could ask her, it depends on what your relationship with your sister is like. But I think the best thing to do is just let her know that, like, if her marriage is making her unhappy, then you are there for her for whatever she needs. Like, you care about her happiness. You care about her and her family. I don't know if she has kids or not, but just let her know that you are there for her and you just really want her to be happy, and you think that she deserves it, because she does. Everybody deserves to be happy. So that's kind of what I would do. Yeah, obviously do what you will with that, but I hope everything goes well. And truly, I really think your sister does deserve to be happy. Okay, next one says, this one's kind of random, but whatever, I'm still going to answer it. It says, how do you feel about birth control? So I personally love it. I do understand, though, why some people don't want to be on it. Like, it's obviously a really personal decision. There's sometimes religion involved. There's sometimes people just don't feel like it's right for your body. Whatever it is, it's a personal decision, and I don't think any reason why or why not is a dumb reason. You can do whatever you want. But personally, I struggle with postpartum depression. I've been pretty open about that. And having an unplanned baby would be really, really hard for me. Not saying that it couldn't happen. It still could. But even with birth control. But I have an IUD, just, if you're my brother or my dad, now you know. But it gives me a lot of peace of mind to have that and kind of know. I like to know what's going to happen, And yeah, like I said, whatever people decide to do in that aspect, I respect it. I think, I don't know. Depends on what age you are when you're asking this. Because I think birth control, okay, here's all I'll say. I won't say anything about the age of people, but having a baby with someone is a lifelong commitment. Like, I dare say it is a bigger commitment than marriage, because that person, you are tied to them for life between you and that child. And being smart about who you want to bring a child into the world with, that's a smart thing to do. So yeah. Anyway, hopefully that advice doesn't get misconstrued, but that's just kind of what I mean. Okay, next one, before I dig myself into a hole. This one says, I'm pregnant. I just found out I'm pregnant with my fourth and don't know how to tell people. Here's the catch of it all. Something feels so off, and I'm scared that I'm either going to miscarry again or something else unexpected is going to happen. I just want to love and enjoy all the loss that I'm experiencing, but I feel like this anxiety is driving me mad. Currently, my provider just wants me to be careful and wait a few more weeks, but I'm honestly going nuts with the pregnancy rage and anxiety. What are your thoughts? First off, congratulations. That's amazing. My thoughts just initially, and I know this is like what everybody says, but you can't control what's going to happen. To a certain extent, you can listen to your doctor, you may take medication, that stuff, but ultimately you can't control the outcome of something. And that's not me saying like something bad is going to happen. No, that's definitely not what I'm saying. But you can't control what's going to happen. And so what's the point in living like, I'm trying to think of how to explain this, but like living as if something bad has already happened. Does that make sense? Like living forward instead of living in the moment. To me, that just causes more stress and more anxiety. So, and I know that's way, way easier. I keep saying easier said than done because it really is. It's easy to give this advice, but it's way harder to actually implement it. So I do understand that being really hard. But to me, it sounds like you're excited and you might be ready to tell people, and your provider's just giving you, advice. And so he may say you want to wait a few more weeks, but I don't think you have to do that. I think if you are the type of person that telling people and like having a lot of people know, I kind of said this in my first episode of like, if you're the type of person that needs a lot of support when you're going through something hard, then telling people is a great idea because you'll have all those people support, say if you do have a miscarriage. But if you're the type of person who likes to deal with things more privately, then maybe telling people, if you have a gut feeling, if you're feeling kind of weird about it, maybe telling a lot of people isn't the best idea. And I don't think that you having a weird feeling or a gut feeling is a sign that something bad is going to happen. I think it's human nature for us to kind of feel that way. But so don't like trick yourself too much into being like, well, I just have a gut feeling something bad's going to happen, because that's not true. Sometimes our gut is wrong. So, so basically I think you kind of have to decide what kind of person you are in times of crisis. If you're the type of person that needs a lot of people checking in on you and a lot of people like just asking you about it, or if you're the type of person that wants to be more private and only have a couple people know about it, that's totally up to you. Personally, with my babies, I told pretty quickly, except for my second, literally my third baby, like the second I got a positive, I was like, hey mom, I'm pregnant. But with my first baby, I think we waited until we had the first ultrasound, maybe. I can't remember. It was quick. It was pretty soon. And then our second baby, we just thought it would be fun to wait until we knew the gender, and then we told people. No specific reason. I think you can do, I know people that wait until 12 weeks and they do that with every baby, and I think that's totally fine. Or there's people who wait until, 20 weeks, whatever. People tell people on their own time. I don't think you should be pressured to tell people. I don't think you should be pressured to not tell people. Whatever you want to do. So I know that's not really advice because I'm like, do whatever you want. But that's my advice is think about the kind of person you are and what you need in times of, not saying you should prepare for the worst, but that's just like my idea of, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm starting to talk in circles, but anyway. Okay, next one says, in high school, I was a decently good athlete, so much so when I was an underclassman, I played over 4 seniors. Every day they bullied me and made my life a living hell at school and practice. Fast forward to today, my child is now in kindergarten with all of their kids. My child really likes these kids and wants to have a play date with them and invite them to a party and be on his city league. I have so much reservations against this. Like, these girls hated me and made me miserable. How do I get over those feelings and feel comfortable being around them, let alone my child being friends with them? Help. Okay. This one, not that you won't like this advice. It's just maybe hard to hear. Maybe not. I guess I shouldn't preface. You decide after I've said it. I think it's really easy to look back on high school and like hold judgment for the things that people did when they're in high school and just kind of think in your mind that that's who they still are. But at least for me and a lot of people I know, high school is like a completely different person from who they are now. Like, I know for me, I did things I regret. I said things I regret. Oh, a lot of things that I wish I could go back and change. But at the same time, it made me like better. Does that make sense? Because I am able to recognize those things. Obviously, I would change the things that hurt people. Obviously, I would do that. But now it helped me grow, honestly. And I am so vastly different than who I was in high school. It's not, I don't even feel like we're the same person at all. And maybe that's the case with these people. Maybe they have completely changed, and maybe they I don't know. I just think we should give, not saying that like, people need to give me grace. I'm saying with everybody who they were as a teenager, we should give them grace and not just immediately decide that that's who they still are. Because teenagers, I think it's just, sorry if you're a teenager and you're listening to this, but I think when you're older, you'll look back and see how many mistakes you made. And I mean, everyone, we were all just learning and growing up. And so maybe give them the benefit of the doubt and just give it a try, like let your kids play together. I don't think there's any harm in that. Like setting aside your feelings about them as parents or as people, I guess, and letting your kids play together. I don't see a problem with that. I could understand like if you don't want your child to go over to their house because you just get a weird feeling from them. I totally understand that. And if that's how you end up feeling, then that's totally fine. And I don't think there's a problem with that. But I do think it's worth giving them a shot, like I don't think it's that harmful to go on to have a play date and maybe you just go to the park, or you could even say you could invite their kid over to your house. I don't think that the parents always have to be there. Does that make sense? Like sometimes I'll drop my son off at a friend's house and then I'll go pick him up in like an hour, as long as you know the parents and have a good feeling about that, then yeah. But that being said, I don't think you owe it to them to necessarily forgive them for what they did. Like it's okay to still feel a little bitter about that, but you may just try to kind of set those feelings aside and kind of have like an open idea of who they could be now. Does that make sense? And they may still be the exact same people. And if you don't want your kids around them, you got to trust your gut. You got to trust your mama gut. You know what's right. And yeah, you just, obviously trust your gut, but I do think it could be worth giving them a try and being open to your kids being friends. I think that would be fine. And it might even it could hurt your kid to keep them away from certain friendships. You know what I mean? So you definitely want to keep them in mind first and trust yourself, but maybe give them a try. Okay, sorry I keep talking in circles on every single one of these. Okay, next one. I am 30 weeks pregnant with my fourth, but my third with my husband. My mother-in-law and I do not have the best relationship. It's cordial. She keeps asking to touch my belly and feel the baby move. I'm very weird with touch and hugs, especially hugs like only for special people. She just complained to us that it made her very sad that she can't feel her grandchild move inside my belly, and then continued to cry and say I hate her and that I am keeping her grandchildren away from her. We literally live in her basement apartment and she eats dinner with us every night. I'm a pretty private person, especially when it comes to my body. I have to set firm boundaries with her. She is like a kid with boundaries. We cannot be lenient with her or that boundary is out the door. I am definitely not catering to her BS, especially when she cries to get her way. How do I nicely explain to her to stop asking to touch my belly because it makes me so uncomfortable? I can't believe I even have to explain myself. Okay, first of all, this is really hard to deal with because when you marry somebody, you marry their family. And some people don't think about that. I know a lot of people who have problems with in-laws, and it's a hard dynamic because, you grow up a certain way, doing things a certain way, and then you get married and things are a little different with everyone has different habits, different things they do as families. Like some people are really huggy, some people really aren't. Me personally, I am with you. I don't really hug people. I do what I can to avoid hugging people, with some exceptions, like my parents or my siblings. Sometimes I don't even hug them. And some aunts and uncles, it just it has to be my choice. I want to hug who I want to hug. And I think that everybody should have that option. I don't think you should have to hug anybody that you don't want to hug. So sorry, you can tell I feel about that. But yeah, you should absolutely not have to explain yourself as to why someone shouldn't touch your belly. That's ridiculous. She's not entitled to your body because her grandchild is inside of it. That's literally the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I have to touch your belly because my grandbaby is in there. No, that makes no sense. No, it's your child, first of all. And yeah, it might be her grandchild, but he's your child. And it's your body too. So I think that's ridiculous that she wants to do that, first of all. So, and secondly, I think a lot of mother-in-laws have this behavior. I'm not talking about mine, okay? I'm just talking in general from stories that I've heard. A lot of mother-in-laws have this kind of behavior or mindset, and I think it stems from insecurity. Like, not necessarily from anything that you've done. Like, she may feel like you hate her because she's insecure about you hating her, and it may not even be from anything you've done to make her feel that way. She may just be making up a reason, like, you won't let me rub your stomach, so I think you hate me. Like, no. I think that could be her projecting onto you. Anyway, to address your actual question, I think, like you said, you have to be really firm with your boundaries. I think you're going to have to be the same way with this, like being really blunt and straightforward. And I don't think being blunt is always mean. Like, setting boundaries is also not mean. A lot of people think that it's being mean or trying to keep you away. No, boundaries are to keep people in your life, because in order to like have them around, you need them to respect certain parts of you. And physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, whatever it is, those are not meant to keep people out. They're meant to keep people in. And I wish more people understood that. But I would probably say something like, and I don't know, maybe I wouldn't actually say this, but like I'm not physically affectionate with really anybody. And so you hugging me or asking to touch my belly makes me really uncomfortable. And I would like you to please stop. And yeah, that's pretty much what I would say. Something along those lines of just being like really straightforward and specifically saying the words, I need you to stop doing that, like being very, like, spell it out for her. Let her know that that's not okay. You're not okay with her doing that anymore. And if she keeps doing it, then maybe you just don't have like a 6 foot apart rule between you two. You don't have to let her hug you. You don't have to let her touch your belly. That's crazy that people would even think that. The other thing you could do is you could text it. If that's the kind of relationship you guys have, if you're more of like texting people. I do think when you text things though, people don't take it as seriously. So you kind of have to decide that. Another thing you could do is you could have your husband tell her. That's probably what I would do. But again, it may not work. Like, she may see it as, oh, whatever, I don't care. So you could try having your husband talk to her about it. And if that doesn't work, then do the like blunt approach and be like, really, I don't want you to do this. But I think addressing it sooner than later is probably the best bet, because if you wait a while and then you do it, she's gonna be like, well, you never had a problem with it before. And like, that'll make her feel like it's not a problem, even though it has been a problem the whole time. You just haven't said it. So I think letting her know sooner than later is probably your best shot. Okay. I only have 2 more. I feel like I'm actually flying through these. I thought I was going to be recording for like ever. So, okay. This next one was really hard for me to answer. So bear with me. I might be talking in circles a little bit more, but we'll see. It says, I've decided to oh my gosh, let me restart. I've decided to no longer be an active Mormon, but the guilt is eating me up. Any advice on how to push past it? Like I said, this one was really hard for me to answer. And it's hard to really give advice because I think it depends on where the guilt is coming from. Like, if it's from disappointing people in your life, like your husband or your family, or not that your husband isn't family, you know what I mean? Like your husband or your parents or friends or whatever. Or if it's more of like a feeling of guilt because you feel like you're doing something wrong by not being active anymore. Does that make sense? Or it could be a combination of the both. Like you feel like you're doing something wrong because you're not going to church, because if you grew up in the church, that's kind of what you were taught. Like, if you don't go to church, you're not as good of a person. I know that's not what they teach. Okay. But I think that feeling can happen when you've grown up in the church and you've always gone to church. I think that as you get older, and if you decide not to go anymore, I think you can feel guilty as a result of that. I'm not saying that they're doing anything wrong. That's just my thought on that. I know this is impossible to do. It really is so hard, and it takes a lot of practice, but you really have to try and set aside others people's feelings and even expectations for you and do what you know is right for you. So if you know taking a step back or even leaving the church at all is right for you, then that's completely fine. Your reasons are completely valid. You really don't have to explain it to anybody. And if people if people ask you, like, what's your reason? What's your reason? You don't have to have a reason. Okay. You can just say, I don't think talking about this is going to be productive for our relationship. Like, it's not going, like, and just tell if this is why, like, if this is a factor in your decision. I'm not saying that it is, but like, if people have a hard time with it, just say, like, I prioritize our relationship and that's more important to me than talking about the reasons why. And maybe someday we'll be able to talk about it, but right now I don't think we can. And they'll probably be okay with that, because I think most people would prioritize the relationship. Also, I heard a quote one time that said, and I'll try to explain this as best I can. I don't know exactly what it said, but it said something along the lines of, it's bigger in your mind. Once you say it out loud, it will get smaller. And I think that's true, not necessarily like literally, like if you say something out loud, then it will automatically become smaller. I think that can happen. Like if you just need to say something out loud, I think that it can relieve some stress, but also just like admitting something to yourself. And maybe not admitting is the right word. Like choosing to not be active in the church, letting yourself believe that you're not doing anything wrong. And then like truly letting that happen, letting yourself believe that, it will feel so much smaller and you'll look back and be like, that was not that big of a deal. It's okay. And like learning to trust yourself and your instinct, whether or not you stay active or you go inactive, whatever you decide to do, trusting yourself is really hard to do. But I think once you do that, it will be so much easier, and that will help you push past the guilt, because you'll realize what you're doing, whatever direction you go, is right for you. So hopefully that's good advice. I don't even know if I said the right thing with that. That's a hard one. I think it's very triggering for a lot of people, and I don't want to like hurt people's feelings, but I don't also want to sugarcoat things necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, okay. This last one says, on your last Dear Diary, you gave a little peace and comfort. Oh, hold on. I suck at reading these, okay? On your last Dear Diary, you gave me a little peace and comfort just from saying, if I need to talk to you, you would be down to talk. We went to school together and I never felt like we had a connection, and that I was always a bit of an outcast at school. Do you feel like all those feelings can change and we really could reach out and be friends? Yes, absolutely. I really genuinely, like, I'm being so genuine when I say you can reach out to me. Like I said, I am so much different than who I was back then. And even if we didn't connect back then, I think that doesn't really matter anymore, because you and I are both probably different people. And yeah, I think we could absolutely be friends. If you are close to me, and you know you're close to me, I'm not going to tell you guys where I live, but some of you may know, we can hang out. Like, I am so down to hang out with anybody. If we don't jive, then we don't jive, and that's fine. But I bet we would. I bet we would. If you're listening to this, then I bet we would. And yeah, if you're far away, we can be pen pals. Like, we can send each other like a flat Stanley or something. And yeah, obviously we don't have to write each other letters, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always down to talk to people. Especially like as moms, and even if you're not a mom, I don't care. That's not my whole personality. It sometimes is, but anyway, I think we can connect with really anybody. So even if you're not the person who wrote this in and you're still like, hey, I want to talk to Sam, I'm probably going to get flooded with a bunch of messages now. I'm just kidding. But yeah, definitely I'm being so sincere when I say, please reach out to me, because I would love to talk to anybody. I know it's hard to be like, hey, you said I could reach out to you, but say that. I don't care. I'm not going to think you're weird. I understand it's awkward to like do that first initial reach out. Like, send me an emoji or something. I'll know what I'll know what you mean, because if you send me an emoji, then I know it means, Sam, I want to be friends with you. So yeah, I'm down for that. All right. That is all of the advice I have within me today. I always get really nervous for these kind of questions, because everyone it's hard to interpret what people are saying, and it's hard to put down in writing what the whole situation is. So it's hard to give advice on that. And I'm just one person with a very, I've only lived my life. So obviously my advice is going to be biased to myself. I'm like telling you what I would do. And I mean, not always. There's things that I wouldn't do that I think are good ideas. Okay, this is kind of late at night when I'm recording this because, like always, I procrastinated recording. And I'm here now recording late at night. And it's getting cold in my house because I record in our furnace room. And I have to turn the heat off so that my furnace doesn't make crazy loud noises. So it's getting cold in here. So I'm going to stop right now. And thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you share on your story this, whatever thumbnail I put on Instagram. I'm kind of starting to post things more on TikTok. My TikTok is Sam with 3Ms.wood. That's it. And I post some things about this. Some are just regular TikTok. So if you're interested, go give me a follow. And make sure you if you aren't following our Instagram, make sure you do that because that's where I post all the prompts. That's where I post reminders about episodes. That's where I do everything to communicate with you guys. And the Instagram for that is just my sister's podcast. Oh no, my sister's diary podcast. No spaces, no periods, nothing. It's just my sister's diary podcast. Okay, with all of that, make sure you smash that subscribe button, leave me a 5-star rating and review, and I hope you all have an amazing week. Bye.